Hello everyone and welcome to this new community call of the Falco project. Let me share my screen. Today I'm Leo, today I'm leading the call. This is the agenda for today. So please anyone participating like Alban, thanks for being here Alban. If you want to add your name there and your GitHub handle, the link of the document is in the chat right now. Okay, this week highlights. After basically 3 weeks of deep diving into the Linux kernel and into our BPF probe, we've been able to provide a fix for our BPF probe. To give a bit of context to maybe Thomas and Alban, some users reported in the past into this issue. Hello, Nestor.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you guys?
I'm fine. We are fine. I'm fine. I don't know. How are you?
Pretty good as well. Thank you.
Thank you for being here, Nestor.
Okay.
So I was saying, one of this week highlights is that me and Lorenzo have been able to provide a fix for a tough bug that was reported months ago by this user. Basically, in some cases, users of Falco running we can't hear you, Nestor.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay, no worries. No worries. Was the Zoom the problem?
Not really. I was just, I move my mouth when I'm thinking. I mean, so it's some kind of nervous tick, you know. It's
No worries. Basically, we're running Falco with the BPF probe, the Falco BPF probe on some kernels. A soft lock of the kernel happened, and we debugged this tough bug really hard into the kernel. We've been in contact with the kernel maintainers of the BPF subsystem. We identified the patch where the problem is in the patch. We can't share more details about this because it's something serious. And they asked us to not share, and we respect that. But we also have been able to provide a fix from our BPF probe to avoid that this happened. And so the fix are basically in these two PRs. One here in the sysdig repository, which contains part of the driver. Sorry, but I need to put passwords here. And the other one is here in Falco. Okay, basically here this is really strange and really funny to explain, but basically here what we can say is that changing the conditional happening after BPF probe red string changes the abstract syntax tree. I don't know how to say the code the escalated code generated by the BPF virtual machine. This is because the BPF virtual machine, when it starts and run any BPF program, run a branch optimization analysis that basically changes your code. So depending on how you do conditional, you can encounter problems or not. And this fixes the problem on all we tested more than 40 kernels. Correct me if I'm wrong, Laura. Maybe 50. Yes. And this fix on every kernel that
I need the new computer because my CPU is gone.
Yes, on every kernel that we identified was experimenting the lock. Then we reported that in this PR of Falco by simply basically referring to a new version of the driver, and this probably is the most important thing that we've been done in the past month, and that will be shipped with next release of Falco, the 022, that will be released the week after Easter. Then let's move on. Okay, this is less important, but still important. Basically, me and Laura, while we were waiting for kernels to compile, to build, we started creating a little framework to test the CLI of Falco CTL, because Leonardo Grasso is working really hard to make this tool more robust and actually functioning, and we want to have the CLI. We don't want to break the CLI when we will provide new features, new commands for the Falco CTL, new flags maybe. And so we basically created a mini-Go framework that is able to test commands against expected outputs that are stored as fixtures into command test data directory. Then, last highlight, Grasso this past week has made a lot of improvements to the workflow of tools around Falco, like Go Client, Falco CTL, and Falco Exporter. So, Leo, Grasso, please, if you want to share more with us, go ahead.
Yes, basically this is connected with what you said before. In the effort to make our tools more robust, I added the CI and the automated release by using Go Releaser. So basically, since now we can just tag a new release and everything should go automatically. And
I have a question. I can interrupt you.
Tell me.
Can you, because I think it's important that you share this, can you please share more about this build skip through of Go Releaser?
Exactly. I added also the link and a special thank to Carlos that measured my PR. Is exactly my PR on Go Releaser, because before this Go Releaser did not support library, Golang library, just for one reason, because Go Releaser needed some artifacts. Now it can work also without any artifact.
Gotcha.
What Go Releaser will do when you use it with a library, it will just create the changelog and put the changelog on the release description.
So Go Releaser in this case will not append to the release drafted on GitHub the
exactly.
artifact.
Any attachment, exactly. Will not attach anything, because we don't have an artifact on a library. And this was very useful for the Go client, because without this we couldn't automate the Go client releasing mechanism.
But we don't have any release drafted with this mechanism yet.
Exactly. We still don't have any release, but I think this week or next week we can do the first release.
Yes,
because everything is done now.
Before to release, I'd love to make a plan together all as a community about the versioning of these other tools. I mean, if they have to follow a specific version and on target a specific version of Falco, or if they can completely separate versioning scheme, something like that. I don't know. We have to just open a discussion about that.
In my opinion, if I can say, for other tools, we shouldn't follow the Falco the Falco version. But in this case, for client Go, maybe it makes sense to follow the Falco version number, because I think the API should be in pair with the Falco. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Nope. This tool probably should follow somehow. I don't know if it should follow the complete Falco version, but at least the version of API. But we don't have a versioning of API inside the Falco version. I mean, the version of API is the one that you ship with that specific Falco version. So at the moment, we don't have any other way to tie the client to the server API.
Mm-hmm.
But,
anyway, if we follow the same number, at least we have, I would say, a soft bind with the queue.
Yeah, maybe a soft bind, not a yeah.
Exactly. And we have to add this in the release markdown. I don't know if we have a release MD for Go Client, but maybe we should add it.
No, we don't have. I can open an issue for you to remember.
Thank you.
Provide a release MD. We'll soon have to release this tool, and we need to write down the.
It's a library, not a tool.
Yes, this lead. Sorry, we need to write down the workflow. I don't know what to say. This is motivation. Should we pair some soft pay the client Go version with the Falco? Maybe I'll add more context later. Let's just move on. Okay. Then you did the same on Falco CTL and Falco Exporter, right?
Exactly. Falco CTL still need a new release, but there are a lot of ongoing tasks, so it hasn't been released yet. Falco Exporter is released, just the first release. I'm planning to do another smaller release when we have some more features.
So maybe it's something that we should advertise.
Exactly.
In the document, first release year.
Actually, it was already advertised, I think, some calls in some past calls, but it's good to do it again.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Let's move on. Aside of the highlights, other little things that have happened this week. Basically, we finally merged the PR that Luke Perkins from the CNCF created on February. This PR on the website basically adds to the build process of the website a tool that links the links, which is really useful, because sometimes, as happened in the past, that we deployed the website with wrong links and things like that. I had to provide one last fix to merge this, but this is now in. So every time a new PR comes into the Falco website, if your links are wrong, the PR will not be able to be merged by Proiana. So this is something that I want the community to know, because sometimes, and this already happened with the Japanese translation, people was not understanding the reason why that PR was not mergeable. As I was saying, this was the first PR to experimenting deleting of links complaining. And I helped the Takao. By the way, Takao is not here, but he made a really great contribution. He translated the whole Falco website into Japanese, the whole documentation, configuration, build from source, installation, rules, drop events, everything into Japanese. So thanks to Takao. And that's it. This is something really cool to see a lot of interest in Asia to Falco.
That really means we're famous.
Yeah. Then Grasso, you again. You have 2 points in the agenda.
Yes, and the 2 points are connected in some way. The first one is that we removed some old Docker images that are not supported anymore. This is also in the big topic of the scope of artifact that we want to support. And if you open the README in the Docker directory.
Yeah, there's a wonderful table now. I remember.
Yeah, this is a wonderful table that I reworked on top of yours, and now this markdown is listing which images are supported. If I'm not wrong, all of these will be supported in the future, except for one that maybe can change, that exactly the event generator, and this is connected to the next topic in the agenda.
Before you go to the next topic,
Yep.
just let me notify everyone the images that we removed. We removed
sure.
was for rel.
Exactly.
And then we removed an image that was provided by Ducey past year, but was not working, about building the kernel module for Linux Kit, and an image that was meant to be used like an init container for Linux Kit environments. And the reason we removed that is because in driver kit, I'm working on a build of kernel module and a BPF probe for Linux Kit, and actually fighting with that topic of GCC run destruct plugin. And the other image that we removed, that you removed, was
in
the
same folder, the probe loader, yeah. And I want to add also that both these two images were not used anymore by any other tools or things in the Falco security scope.
Gotcha.
So I'm pretty sure nobody was using those images.
Okay, please tell us more. Tell us more to
exactly. So as we discussed in the past, we should move the event generator somewhere, and we had some option. I preferred the option 2 to write it in Golang. This basically because it can help to improve the command line experience, but also because I hope many more people can do PR to add more events. And I want to explain just a bit the work in progress. Yeah. No, it's not this. This is Falco.
This?
Yeah, exactly. Basically, the events directory, if you can go in, please, thank you, is a registry where events can be registered, can be added. And if you go back and go in syscall, exactly,
could you make the font a little bit bigger, please?
Yeah,
sure.
Okay. This
Much
is
better.
an example. Yes. This is an example of a single event. Basically, this event is just writing a file inside the bin directory. Basically, I did this in this way because so it will be very easy to add a single event, just for example by making a PR, and and also because we can provide some helpers to the function in case for I don't know, for some events you need to do something more complex.
Okay.
For the Kubernetes event, yeah, I made a loader that basically loads a bunch of YAML files that are embedded within the executable. And also I want to add some, some consistency check to those files in order to in order to have all events more consistent. Of course, this is a work in progress. For example, I wanted to automate the message generation.
Yeah, this is a great work. I mean,
Yeah,
this
and
my opinions will be very useful when we will, if and when we will reshape the test suite, because at the moment the test suite is made with SCAP files, but downloading SCAP files from the web, you can't really inspect them easily while you're developing. And having a tool like this, you can basically have the whole pipeline from the generation of the event to test the expected event with Falco in a controlled environment.
Exactly. And indeed, I had some ideas while doing this. For example, we can also create a playground where people can write rule and test it immediately. And exactly for this reason, I created this tool that can work in two ways. It can be imported like a Go library, basically it's just the package runner, or it can use it directly as a command line, as like any command line like tools. And the last thing, we have an issue opened to, I think, in Falco CTL, because I think we said some times ago that we should move the event generator inside Falco CTL. I'm not sure about that. Of course we can, because we could just import the command of the new event generator. By the way, the commands are compatible because both are using the Cobra library. So we could do this, but I don't know if this will be a bit redundant, because we will have two tools that do the same thing.
I don't know about this.
We have, I think we have just to, I don't have an answer to this. We have just to think a bit.
Yes, maybe you can go into these issues linking to your POC, and we can start a discussion. My opinion is that for sure having the event generator in Go will make more easily for people to contribute to it, but also to find and to test it. Because what I noticed is that people is often scared of compiling, for example, this C++ file, which was made by Mark Stem, and does this the same you're doing with the Go, and running it.
So sorry, I don't fully understand. There's what would be the reason to keep two? There is some functionality in the old one that is not in the new one yet.
No, it was a different thing. I mean the two that I mentioned were Falco CTL and the event generator, that now is a new CLI tool, not the old one. The old one at some point I think can be removed.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
The question is just this: it makes sense to have two different tools that have the same command to generate the events? Maybe no.
I don't think so. Again,
exactly.
only if they each have some unique features that you need to retain. But if one is a superset of the other one, I don't see any reason, you know. And yeah, I agree. The one written in Go will be more friendly for the community.
Yeah, that's
okay.
it.
So if Laura, what do you think? We want to hear from you. Laura is probably into some compilation. Yeah. Okay, let's move on.
No CPU for the web.
I'll just say that's really dope to see this new project. I use the event generator in my talks and stuff, and it's always kind of awkward to go get it out of its little hole. And I'm excited to see a new one.
Yeah, and it's exciting to see an extensible one because clearly, you know, there's always something new that maybe you want to use it for. So
yeah, without the noise of the other one. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
So listening to your opinion, I put here, move the POC into Falco Security Organization. Do you all agree?
I agree,
yep.
Of course.
Okay.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay.
But by the way, one feature that I missed to mention, the new tools is able with a regex to filter which event you want to run. So for example, you can just use some, or you can provide a list of the rules of the, not the rules, of the events that you want to trigger, and so on.
Bye, Spencer.
Very nice. Bye, Spencer.
Thank you, Leo. Last point of the day. Me and Lore probably found one of the reasons that were causing some users to see not available informations in the outputs. For example, the container name or the image name of the container. But we just started today, so we just wrote this here to let you know that this is the thing we are working on now. We're positive about being able to fix this week, so that next week, the week after Easter, for the 022, we can also include this fix together with the other important fix about the soft lock. And that's it. This is all for today community call. I want to ask who wants to run the next call? Anyone?
If nobody else want, I will do. But
okay.
If someone wanted to do, go.
Loris is laughing, so probably say yes. No.
Okay, I will do, no problem.
So also Leo, I want to also Leo, I want to remind you that by the end of not this week, the next week, you together with Chris should release the 022 of Falco, because that was the plan. If Chris will not be available, we can discuss, and maybe you'll do with Lorenzo, and then I don't know, we will find a way.
Okay, I have just a question. To make the release, I think the person who makes the release needs to have the permission to create a tag. Is it correct?
Good question. You should have.
Okay.
But the problem was that if you remember, when we decided to do the release in this,
I remember. Yeah.
Release, the first one was me driving and Chris looking at me to take notes and to be able to do the release the after that one. The problem is that Chris, we are not sure that Chris will be available now next week. Chris has good rights in the Falco repository because she already contributed something to Falco to do the tags. This was the reason that I was saying, if Chris will not be available for some reason,
exactly,
maybe Lorenzo will substitute her.
Yeah, I have tag access to the repo, so I can do it with Leonardo.
Lorenzo will lead the 0 release, and you maybe will lead the 023 on the next one. But you will be present. Also, Chris has notes of the release process that I explained to her while I was doing the past release. We should reach to her to also create a release markdown into the Falco repository.
Yeah. Okay, I can help with this if we will have the notes from Chris. Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Okay, and that's all. If anyone has other things to discuss, please bring them up, or we can declare this. We can call it a day. No one's. So everyone, thanks for joining. We'll see next week with Leo Grasso leading the call. Bye bye. Ciao.
Bye. Thank you. Ciao.
Bye bye.
Ciao.